All right, we are on your next challenge, which is going to be called grouping. So, Mr. Hutch here, thanks for joining us. Let's go ahead and get into your Tinkercad app and get started. Let's choose New Design, and we're going to get rid of Smashing Jarv. Pretty cool name, though. And we are going to title this project Grouping, grouping, if I could spell grouping correctly with my fingers. There we go. All right, now, the purpose of this challenge is to get you a little bit into the name tag design that I'd like to challenge you with, while also introducing you to the concept of grouping in order to combine objects and to make holes in objects. So let's go ahead and start off with create a new object as usual, and we're going to grab a box, as usual too, I think. Open that up. Let's do the same dimensions we did before, which is 30 by 50 by 4. And we'll hit play just so we can see what's going on. There we go. There's our familiar rectangular prism that is below the work plane. Oh no. All right, and we'll go ahead and modify that as usual. I'm just sort of going through this quickly because by now you understand how this part works. And if you don't, check out the other videos. All right, now we've raised it up to the work plane there, the base on the work plane, and we're ready to complete the challenge. So I'm just going to walk you through a lot of this one because I want you to understand the concept rather than just sort of figuring it out inquiry-like on your own. Next thing I want you to do is we're going to create a shape for the top here, very similar to the keychain that you're going to be making, but you can be creative and tweak that however you want, or use a different shape. I'm just using this one sort of as a model for you to also understand how to group objects together. So let's go ahead and add a new shape. We're going to pull down the cylinder. Okay. And right away open up the drawer, and let's go ahead and get our cylinder adjusted here. The width of my rectangle is 30. So I'm going to have the radius match that. So remember, it's a radius, not a diameter. So we're dealing with halves. So if my radius is 15, then it'll be the distance of 30 across. Let's go ahead and bring out our move block just because we know we're going to have to. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so we can see what's going on. And then our height is at 20. I definitely don't want a cylinder that big. Like if you take a look, like that's pretty giant. That's definitely not what we're looking for. So I need my cylinder height to be matching our rectangle, and that is a height of 4. So we'll go ahead and do that and hit play. All right, so now it matches, but we got to move it up from underneath the work plane, and I already have my move block there, and let's go ahead and raise it up. So now you can see it gets all funky when it's meshed with it because it has to show both objects. So that's what that's doing there. Almost looks like a spinning wheel. All right, now I want to create a shape up top that's sort of arched where like a keychain hole would go. And so we need to move it up this way on our y-axis. Now, again, you could guess and check, and it's a valid method, but I'd rather just do it accurately. So here's the center of my shape, and I want to move it 10, 20, 25 millimeters up. And so I'm going to go to my y, and we're going positive 25. And let's hit play and see where it moves. So there we go. Now that's a giant top for a keychain hole. Sort of ridiculous. So I need to shrink that down. So let me look at all my options here. it seems like we have a problem because the only thing I can adjust is the smoothness of the edges. Right now it's very polygonal as far as you can actually view sides. So I do want to adjust that, but we can mess with that a little bit. I just need to get this squished. So that's your next challenge. There's no way for me to mess with those. So if you think back to one of our older videos where we manipulated the roof, there were no variables for us to adjust for the roof, but there was another way we can manipulate the shape. Do you remember what that is? If you said scaling, you are correct. So let's pull over the scale code block, and we're going to scale, but we only want to adjust a certain part. I don't want my sides to get smaller. I just want to squish the top and bottom. So that is the object. I think I want to squish the Y, right? Go ahead and mess with that and see which one you want to squish. Do you want to squish X or do you want to squish Y? All right, now we're reducing. So right now it's at 1. If I want to reduce, I have to go to 0.5. I'm reducing it by half. Okay, hit play. And there we go, it shrunk it up. Now, if you want it shrunk a little bit more, then go ahead. I mean, you can adjust those by tenths and shrink it a little bit more if you want. Okay, so it's all about just manipulating it how you want. All right, now I do want to adjust those sides because remember how sort of choppy they are? I want them to be smooth. So let's mess with the edge and just increase that number like crazy. And adjust the sides. And we'll also do the edge steps. So we'll just put 200 on everything and hit play and see if it smooths it out a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. Super nice and smooth. Now, one thing I got to be careful about is I smoothed it so much that if you look here, I sort of lost some of my edge here. So that's something I have to be aware of. If I wanted that to be sort of a solid thing, I'm going to need to get that adjusted back a little bit. So let's mess with our edge and edge steps here and see how we can get that back. So it's always good to look around the shape and see what's going on as you go. We'll speed things up a little bit here. So edge steps didn't do anything for me, so I'll go ahead and put that back. That didn't do anything at all. Let's check edge. Let's go back to like 5 and see what happens. Okay, that just made the top part have a flat top. Let's get rid of sides and just do 5 and see what that does. Okay, and that just made everything sort of polygonal again. So I definitely want my sides to be high. And I want my edge to go back up. Actually, maybe we want this all to be back at 0. Let's see. 1, 1, 1. Let's see what happens. Well, that's not very nice. What about 0, 0, 0? Okay, so look what happened there. We got our edge back over there. Let's see if we can just smooth out this top without losing that spot there. So let's see our edge steps. Okay, it looks like we're good there, and it smoothed it out some. So let's try 20. Just adjusting our edge steps. Let's try 200. Go extreme. Okay, let's check our edges here. If I do 1, okay, I lost that with edge, so I can't mess with my edge. Let's increase the amount of sides. There we go. Look at that. All right, so look at all the manipulating we had to do to get that be what we want. You have to look around your shape really carefully. You can't just look at one angle. So now I got it how I want. So we increase the amount of sides. So you can see there's tons of little sides there. We increase the edge steps. But as far as edge goes, we left that at 0. All right, now that you have that created, let's go ahead and move to the next step. So it's good for you to see me work through that, because that's the kind of stuff you're going to have to figure out as you go as well. All right, now that you've done that, right now these are two separate shapes. You can still see the other one there. So we need to go ahead and group that. So we're going to bring over Create Group. And this means multicolor. If you want everything to change to red, then you can go ahead and do that. That's what you'll do for your keychain project. But for this one, go ahead and keep it multicolor. That way we can see the two, so I can see what you did. We'll hit play and group it, and you can see that everything that was touching goes away. Okay. Now, we're going to do two more things, and that is a peg that is grouped sticking out and a hole. So let's go ahead and we are going to bring over another shape. So we'll bring over the cylinder. We will open that up. And you're just going to have to mess with getting the right shape with that. So I'm just going to preview this a little bit with you and then let you go ahead and tackle it. You can pause the video and then I'll continue and show you what I did to finish it off, if you do need a little bit of support in seeing what it's supposed to look like. So your overall objective for the rest of this is to create a peg that's sort of like the size of a keychain hole for a keychain ring. And so, for example, right now, if I hit play, you can see it creates this giant cylinder. Well, I don't want that. So we're going to have to reduce our radius by quite a bit. If I go like 1.5, you can see I have a nice size like peg hole there. And remember, that's in millimeters, so it's still pretty small. So maybe I'll do 2. You always got to be thinking about what your actual product is looking like. All right, so now I have a good size peg there. Look how it sticks out the bottom and the top. That's fine for making a hole, because look how I make a hole. All I do is over here, it's clicked on solid. If I click on hole here, it's actually going to create that shape as a hole. So watch how I hit play, and it is a transparent shape sitting there. Okay. Now, it didn't actually cut through because I didn't group it yet. If you want to cut through, you need to go ahead to modify and create a group and group those things together. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and hit play, and you can see that when I grouped the hole with the shape, it cut a hole into the shape. Now we're going to move this empty hole up to here. Don't get it too close to the edge. And then we're going to make another cylinder and just have the peg sticking up out of the top surface. I don't want your second peg sticking out of the bottom. I just want your peg going from this rectangular prism and sticking up out, and then group it. Okay, so you have two peg situations, a hole that's grouped, and you have a peg sticking up out of the surface and grouped. Okay, once you have that, check and make sure yours has those components and looks similar to mine after pausing the video, and then you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this, and at that point you're done. So get all your screenshots together from the prior activities, put them on one document, and then you can send that to me. Everyone else that's watching, you just do what you want or do what your teacher tells you to do. All right, so that's that. Go ahead and pause the video, and then I'll see you in a minute with the final product. All right, if you're back to check out the final product, you can see that I still need to get my other pegs in there, and I need to move that. So what I'm going to do actually is, instead of messing with pulling out everything new again, I'm going to just duplicate this by holding and duplicating and then tapping the screen. And then I'll pull that down because I know I'm going to have two pegs and I want them the same anyway. So there's my one peg, and I need to make sure that one peg is solid. So we'll have it be a solid red. And then I'm going to do another peg that's going to be my hole. So I need to make sure it's clicked on the transparent button there. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to hit play. So I have my peg with the hole and the peg all in one spot, which does not work for me. So I need to get my move out and move those where I need. So let's go ahead and put this here. We'll get the pegs moved out of the way of each other. I don't really need to move the main solid peg on the X or Y. I just need to get it up on the Z plane. But my hole I do need to move towards that orange. So that's my Y axis. Again, I could guess, but I don't need to. Let me look at our work plane. We have 10, 20. 25 is here. So maybe I want to move it like 26 or 27 on the Y axis. All right, and so because it's a hole, we actually need it to stick above and below, so I'm not going to raise that one. But this one, it's a height of 20, so I need to get it up out of there by raising it up 10, but I actually might raise it up 11 to get it off the surface there. Okay, and then we'll group both of those. I need my move to be right before my group, though. So we're not going to create the group. We're going to move it, then we're going to group it. Okay, and we're going to move it, and then we're going to group it. Because grouping it is sort of like gluing it all together. So you got to group it at the end. All right, let's hit play and see how it works. All right, there we go. So we got our peg with the hole and our peg sticking out. If I don't like the height of that, looks like a key holder or something. Maybe that could be what it is. Then I could adjust the height if I want. But that's all you need for that. And just make sure you take your screenshot so I can see the one raised up and the hole there. So pick a good angle so I can see that and go ahead and screenshot that. All right, nice job with that activity. You are ready to move on to the keychain activity next. See you in the next video.